We're here at the COP24 in Poland with Senator Bob Wieckowski of California. Senator, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. It's just my third COP, and it's important that subnationals like California are represented by elected officials. So I'm here, and I'm here to learn, and here to spread the good news.
Wonderful. And we were talking a little bit before we went on about that there's really not many American elected officials here. Why do you think that is, and is that problematic in any way?
Well, the goal of the COP24 is to develop a rule book. So a lot of people don't get into the minutia of what the rules are going to be and how do you hold other nations accountable. So it's true there's an absence of superstars as heads of states and nations there, and there's also lack of subnational elected officials. California's in for the long run, where people see us as the leader or a leader in reducing greenhouse gases and coming up with that technological fix that spreads throughout the United States. So we have an auto emissions policy that we enact, other states follow it. We have a solar energy or renewable portfolio for our electrical grid, other states are interested in it. So I think it's very important to be here.
So what are some of the things that California is doing vis-a-vis climate and CO2?
Well, we have our cap and trade program, which is designed to encourage people to reduce their greenhouse gases. We have a whole suite of low carbon fuel standards. We have the stationary sources where we go in and we require them to reduce their emissions. We have our healthy soils program. We have a variety of programs.
So there's this kind of, when you talk to people here, there's this sense of doom when it comes to the United States, with President Trump saying that climate change is a hoax and voters apparently at least voting for him the first time. But California, I guess, is a different situation. Tell us about what's different there.
Well, we just finished an election, so unless you're brain dead, you had to see this blue wave that has affected the House of Representatives, but also governorships and state legislatures. And again, people look at the Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz race and they get emotional about it, but you look at these other folks that may not be as well known, and they've made changes in the governorships and in their supermajorities that we have. California has always been in that discussion, even with a good Democratic president, a little of an outlier. We're pushing the envelope in the climate space, in the environmental space. So we continue to pass our policies. We're probably suing the federal government 18, 20 different suits over we're here on the climate conference, so our emissions. We're confident that we're going to win that. So I think the world expects that if he's making a bunch of noise, and it is noise, that we're like that soldier that's marching at a continued pace that's saying, no, this is the journey that we have to go on and to achieve. So we do that through our policy. We have, we have a sanctuary state that just makes people mad, but we also have real hardcore public policy when it comes to climate that's going to be game changers. We're going to go back this session and we're going to talk about a regional electrical grid so that we combine the electric networks of Wyoming and Utah and Arizona and California. So we're trading clean hydrogen power for clean solar power, or importing wind power. So we reach that goal of 100% renewable on the electrical grid. And people look at that and say, you're working cooperatively. We're the big gorilla. We have over 50% of the population of all the western states in California, so I'm mindful of that, but we still have to make the grid work the way, optimize its use, and that means getting a couple of hours to the east so the sun rises earlier, having a couple hours to the west so the sun rises a little earlier, so we're switching the electricity and that coordinated dance of electrons transferring. So yeah, there's that bad noise that's coming out of Washington, but California really, people expect me to open up my mouth and talk about something positive that we're doing, that it's going to be okay. And the sense of urgency, we have 12 years. All the reports that came out here, the fourth climate assessment, the Calif Air Board issued the report. They're all saying we got to giddy up. And that's the urgency that I think, as an elected official, I need to bring back to California, and just saying, we're doing a great job, but we got to do a better job. And here are the programs that I want to change or tweak so that we reduce our emissions further.
Excellent. And one of the topics of discussion here that's been very common, especially in light of what's going on in France with the growing protests, is how do you bring people along? Because, obviously some of the policies here they're talking about are going to involve some economic pain. How do you get people to kind of buy in and go along with the sacrifices that might have to be made to deal with the climate issue?
Oh, I won't joke. I mean, it's a challenge. What we've done is, remember, we set up a whole system where people didn't pay for pollution. And you could just pollute, and you can have these externalities that weren't calculated into the price. So when you calculate what the price is for polluting, then all of a sudden you're going to pay more for gasoline. The Norwegians have 100% tax on automobiles that are on petroleum base. So it's no surprise that there are more Teslas in Norway now than there are Teslas in my district where they're made, or in the state of California. Now that will change as we have incentives. So we're trying to change behavior, and with that comes pain. The Poles just are trying to meet their carbon commitment, and they just raised the prices on petroleum. Everybody's complaining. That's what the French, the French are complaining about a lot of things, but that's what the French do. This is not their first rodeo about having demonstrations in the street, and they do it. And there's a political convenience of doing that people want to get their way. But at the end of the day, you have to pay the true price of the pollution that you're creating. And again, the system's not that way. So it's not only the industry that doesn't want to pay for the cleaning up of the processes that they had, because to sequester their CO2 and other NOx and SOx releases costs money. That's a big technology. And again, I was just in Norway, and the Norwegians are doing that, but it's at a cost. Their political and cultural personality is that, okay, we're going to do that. That's what it's going to take. French aren't there yet. French are saying we want to be clean, but we want it to be free. And Americans, there's a split in our society. There's a split that's being phonied up with the president. But I think the clear message is that we got to do something fast, and we got to do it now, or the impacts, the extreme weather we're going to have is going to be even more extreme.
So, considering everything that's going on here at the COP summit, you have the election in Brazil of this guy who appointed a foreign minister who says climate change is a Marxist hoax, and you have President Trump, and you have with France and all these things. Are you optimistic, with the 12-year deadline that the UN IPCC has set, are you optimistic that what needs to be done can be done?
Yes, because I'm fundamentally optimistic about local government and states. And I'll go back to the Under 2 MOU. There's a association, there's the Climate Action Alliance, which is made up of 220 entities around the world. Jerry Brown had his conference in California with Bloomberg. That's 43% of the economy. Businesses are trying to figure out, how do I save money and how do I make money in this climate arena? There's a zillion of them that are here. Some of them are new technologies. Some of them need a little encouragement. We have solar tax credits. We have tax holidays on electric vehicles that people can have. There's all kinds of policies that the government can do at the state level, not the national level, but the local level. Every city, whether you're in Turkey, who wants to go to Turkey in a polluted, smog induced region? We go there because it's clean. We go there because it's nice. It's our idea of holidays. Hawaii and all the hotels and all those people are trying to figure out, how do we reduce carbon emissions so that we don't have gigantic sea level rise, or how do we mitigate that with coral reef rejuvenation, because people like a nice environment. And I'll go back to the kids and the grandkids. People don't want to leave their grandkids with a mess. And this extreme weather it makes a big difference if it's an extreme a quotient of 10 or 100, where we've got flooding and all kinds of horrible droughts and just misery that comes with it. And people get that. I think people understand that, and that's the optimism that I get what the locals and the subnationals are saying. We're going to go our own way. Forget what the noise is from the president or this president of Brazil or whatever country. We're going.